You are now live with Dylan Kimberlin.
Hello everybody, I'm John Latinovic and I'm here with three members out of the four of the Latinovic family. I am the president of the Yeppoon Tennis Club.
Yeah, nice. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Okay, hi, I'm John's wife Karen, obviously, and we're originally from Sydney, and we were involved in tennis for many years. Our children both got into tournament play in tennis during the junior segment, and we've moved up to Yeppoon, got back into tennis, and started pickleball.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm Amanda Blyth. These are my parents. And I initially started tennis as a junior and played in New South Wales in the junior tournament scene. Moved up to the Sunshine Coast 6 years ago now. And I play a little pickleball. I'm a full-time working mother of a 2-year-old. So that's me.
There you go. And we talk about pressure on the courts. I don't think there's more pressure than a 2-year-old. So, hello everyone. My name's Dylan. Obviously, we are back to our discussions with Dylan today. We're pretty lucky to have, special guests coming down to the Southeast Queensland side of things. Actually, is Yeppoon part of Southeast Queensland, or is it middle?
No, it's not. It's part of Central Queensland.
There you go. So, we've got some guests. And obviously Amanda lives down this neck of the woods as well. So today we are going to be covering sort of the Yeppoon Pickleball scene, as well as they have an amazing festival coming up. But I've been really focusing on sort of the, pioneers of the Queensland pickleball scene from across the board. And we're so lucky to have you guys down in our neck of the woods to have a yarn. So
Thank you.
Let's talk about from a Yeppoon point of view. So you did mention you played tennis down in Sydney. So was that sort of where your, racket sports began? Do you want to give us a bit of a rundown?
Karen and I started playing tennis a really long time ago. In fact, we met at tennis, and we've been together for 46 years.
Fair enough.
Tennis was sort of something that we participated in for a really long time.
Okay.
And then when our kids got of age, we made sure that they played tennis the right way, and they were coached, and they were very good at it.
Okay, fair enough. And you
basically got into the tournament circuit, and it was a great atmosphere for the kids to grow up in. It's a really, you meet a lot of families and young, they made a lot of friends through tennis. So it's a culture that is there, similar to pickleball. Pickleball's a lot more social though.
Yeah.
I guess because you're closer on the court, so it's a lot more of a and then we retired from Sydney up to Yeppoon, and re-established, because of course when the kids were playing tennis we didn't play because we were taking them all around the different states, and we got into tennis back then, and Amanda can tell you the story about the pickleball scenario. So
that's a good lead in.
Interesting. Rather than me keep going.
No, that's awesome, and I find there'd be a lot of people watching right now that might be from various parts of Australia. They're like, "Where is Yeppoon?" I have no idea where this place is. But the travel you've made, sort of starting from a racket sport to then moving to pickleball in a bit of a smaller town, I think that's very common in Australia. There's so many people that, and we see so many little clubs popping up. I know from discussions with you guys earlier, you're saying you've got 100 or so people that sort of get involved within playing at Yeppoon.
Yep.
This I imagine, if anyone's watching from a smaller town that is looking to build up a pickleball club, be good to reach out to you guys for some advice.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So you sort of led into something there with Amanda.
Yeah.
Did you want to bring us in? What's going on?
Yeah, so I hadn't played tennis for over 22 years, I think it is. My life sort of just carried on without tennis. Very fortunate enough to spend some time in America, the US. My husband's family lives in Naples, Florida. Well, actually, they were from Chicago and moved to Naples a couple of years ago, and I was there for a couple of weeks one Christmas. I think it was 2019, I believe, just before COVID. And came across these unusual tennis courts. And sort of I asked the question, sort of, what are these courts? Are they junior courts? Because they live in Naples, Florida, which tends to be more of a retired area with older people. So these tiny little tennis courts I thought were quite unusual. They obviously weren't kids' courts because it wasn't really the place for kids' courts. And they mentioned that it was pickleball, and I was just like, what's pickleball?
Yeah.
And that Christmas we borrowed some paddles and went and had a hit of pickleball, and it was fabulous. The whole family could play, and considering that none of them came from a racket ball family, so it was really so much fun. They live in the Isles of Collier, which is actually right next door to Naples Pickleball Centre, where they've got a the US Open now, I believe. We've got a few of our Australians elite players at the moment playing over there. So they live, there's a gate right next door to that community. So that's where I was introduced to pickleball, and we my husband and I came home and caught up with mum and dad and said, we've played this awesome sport called pickleball. Check it out on YouTube. You've got to start it up in Yeppoon. So considering Yeppoon's full of, not full, but has quite a large amount of retirees, that's where I sort of said, they were involved in the
tennis club
at the time. And I said, just
check it out.
You've got to try it.
Okay.
And I had no idea of what pickleball looked like here in Australia because I hadn't played yet.
That's
and
awesome.
It was fairly unheard of back then. We're thinking what's pickleball? And then we took it up and started investigating into it.
We did a little bit of research, and then we took it to the tennis committee, and we got a bit of a sort of a cold welcome. It wasn't really accepted that well. And Karen and I decided to purchase some equipment and started to play, and then a couple of other committee members started to play, and away we went. And then all of a sudden the club started supporting it, and it's grown from there.
We basically, into our investigations, we contacted Jen Murphy, and they were just in the middle of actually creating PAA or PAQ, I think then. So they were going through a lot of legalities and things like that, but very willingly helped. Jen was fantastic, just terrific, and helped sort of guide us and gave us some information and sent us some YouTube videos and said, just check this out, watch this. Well, there was one game that we sat and thought, we'll watch this for 10 minutes. Well, an hour and a half later, we're still stuck to the screen watching it, and that's, I think, when it really got us. And then, so they've been an amazing, Jen and her team have been an amazing help and guided us and got us to where we are. And the story of the courts is another thing. I mean, that was, and I think too, we started off with 4 core people, Sharon Orison and another fellow tennis player. We started playing, so there's only 4 of us. It quickly grew to 8, which included Tracy, Hope, and Lee, and I think Kel was crept in. Kel came into it then, so there was a core group of us, and it sort of went from 4 to 8, then 12, and 16.
So it happens.
And we're still continually getting new players come along. It's just continuous.
And I think that there's really good feedback, especially for if anyone's watching that is looking at or has already started their own playing group, looking into building into a club. It starts small. And where I'm going through the exact same thing with Morayfield Pickleball at the moment, where you know, you start with 4 to 6 people, and then bang, you got 30,
Yep.
and it's like, okay, now we have growing pains. It's like,
Yes,
we don't have enough
absolutely.
courts, and obviously you guys have sort of had that, I guess, problem occur because now you're building new courts.
Yeah.
So, did you want to give us a little bit of a rundown about that?
Yeah, so when we were playing at the tennis courts, we just used drop-down lines. We did that for about a year, and then an opportunity came up where Kel Rasmussen, who's now a director at PAA, approached a councillor at Yeppoon, and basically set up a meeting between myself, him, and the council, and requested some abandoned courts which were adjacent to our club.
Okay.
And by our surprise, the council agreed to give us those courts.
Okay.
So then I went about looking for grants, and was lucky enough to get 3 or 4 grants, one being a very, very large one from the state government, and some donations. And we raised about $60,000, and from there we built 8 pickleball courts.
Okay. And these are purpose built with their own nets?
These are purpose built. We originally started with some portable nets, and then we built some nets.
Okay.
Very successfully.
Very
actually.
successfully.
They are terrific nets.
And
Yeah,
then
true.
then now we're sort of purchasing some nets, professional nets.
Okay.
So we're up to our next stage now, and hopefully we'll have that ready by the festival
It's
in
well
July,
underway now. So
where we're adding an additional 6 courts
Yeah, wow.
with 2 main courts or show courts.
Yeah.
Viewing areas. So we hope to have those completed by the festival.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say Yeppoon's sort of positioning itself to be, I guess, the, you know, premier location for sort of that region.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. My sort of vision was to be the centre in central Queensland.
Yeah, okay.
So with these courts, we'll probably be one of the biggest in Australia, but with time and how rapidly pickleball is growing, I'm sure that other centres will pop up.
Yep.
But we certainly would like to be the centre of pickleball in central Queensland.
And let's go on that trail of thought. So you mentioned other courts popping up. Now, you guys, just from discussions before we started recording, you mentioned you sort of did a bit of a road trip recently. As we are sort of talking about the Yeppoon Pickleball Festival, and we will get into it, let's talk about that. Like, there are a lot of people that are watching that might do a trip and play at any local courts they can get. Do you guys want to give a bit of a rundown of the pickleball road trip?
look, this has been just an amazing experience. We didn't expect it to be so much fun and to meet so many people and be so welcomed into all these clubs that we've been able to jump in and have a hit with. We started in Shell Harbour and had a couple of hits there with the guys down there, so that was fantastic.
So that's New South
that's
Wales.
New South Wales, yep. So that's Leanne and Brad and the crew there. They just played in the New South Wales Open, so.
Okay.
And then from there, we didn't unfortunately get to play in Sydney. We were busy with family and grandkids and all that, but we'll certainly try and get there next time. We then went from there to Halliday Point, and wow, what a great group of people they are there, and some really good players as well. So Sheila and Paul Boniface, fantastic, just so welcoming. You just reach out and come along. We even went for drinks back at people's places. You go for coffee. You meet fellow pickleballers travelling through. We met Ron and Lou Gatliff as well for coffee there. We got to play quite a few times. From there, we went
Just while you're on that, it's worth noting that they've recently picked up an area next to the tennis courts at Taree,
Oh, yeah.
which were netball courts, and they built 9 pickleball courts and they've painted them themselves.
Oh,
and-
cool.
Yeah.
So they've got a really big playing area now, and I think they're holding a tournament
Yeah.
there
Okay.
shortly.
yeah.
Okay.
So so
yeah,
it's really growing in terms of facilities there too. Now.
Absolutely. They've got a great group of people, and it's all volunteer based as well, like us. We then went to, I think we had played a couple of games in Coffs Harbour. They're a little bit just really starting and
Okay.
trying to get the momentum going there, but it was great to catch up with them. And then from there, I think we went to Ballina, terrific indoor courts there. Some fantastic players as well, and also very welcoming. I think it was Brian and a few of the other guys there that welcomed us, and we got quite a few hits there. Byron Bay as well, and they often jump from Ballina to Byron Bay, so you got sort of a bit of crossover there. And then we went to Kingscliff and had a hit there with the guys there, Bruce and
Jeff,
Jeff and his wife.
Yep.
Sandra, I think it was.
And they've they're actually a tennis club, and they've actually built two
courts.
pickleball courts. They're outgrowing those very quickly, and they're looking to hopefully expand some more courts within the tennis club. But that's another story where a tennis club has introduced pickleball
Quite successful.
like Yeppoon and has become very successful.
Yeah, cool.
So sorry, Karen.
So then we didn't make it to Crumble. We had to sort of rush back to help out with Zoe. She was quite crook, so
That's Amanda's little one.
Amanda's little one, yeah. And then from there we went to, I can't remember. Is it?
We played here.
You played in the Sunshine
Oh,
Coast?
we always play at the Sunshine Coast. We always play at Caloundra, or we have a hit at Mooloolaba, KT Academy. Again, great group of people, very welcoming. There's so many people, I can't mention all their names. Then we went up to Noosa, played at the tournament in Noosa, had a bit of a hit beforehand. Ron helped us out to how to get into that. Tournament was fantastic. We thoroughly enjoyed it. It's really our first tournament. And it was just brilliant. We had some great games. It's just so good to get out there and play different players from our own club and mingle, and you learn. I think you learn so much more by doing that. We certainly have grown and learnt a lot in our journey.
Should also note that previously we played at Townsville
Oh, that's right, yeah.
and Airlie Beach as well.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of the eastern coast of Australia.
Yeah.
We haven't been to Victoria yet, but we hope to do that next year.
You guys are going to have to start doing like little
I
postcards.
think so.
All the places you've been.
Yeah.
But that's so cool, and I think there's going to be quite a lot of people that would consider traveling and just popping in and visiting the local club. So it's really nice to give a bit of a shout out to the local clubs that you guys have been to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure these guys that have just been mentioned have all got their own various social media presences as well. Just have a look. All right, so let's lead from big travel to Yeppoon Festival. So, Yeppoon Pickleball Festival. And if there is anyone watching that is considering going, because registrations are still live.
Still live, and will be for a couple of months.
Yeah.
There you go. So you got time.
Yeah.
So if you are coming from down south and are looking at doing a travel up, that's a great, good way to spend a couple of weeks. I reckon.
Absolutely. I highly recommend it.
So just to give you an overview of the festival, will be the first week, which is the 14th and 15th, first weekend, 14th and 15th of July. 14th to the 16th of July will be our seniors tournament. So it'll be the second Australian seniors tournament to be held. The first one being in Currumbin shortly. And then through the week, we're going to have some coaching sessions with Mike Newell, and then we're having a festival dinner, and then on the weekend of the 22nd and 23rd, I think it is the Queensland Pickleball Tour.
Yep.
So it's virtually 10 days of pickleball,
Non-stop.
and of course they're proper pickleball courts, and the competitors will have access to those courts over the week.
Yeah.
The whole time. 'Cause
The
they're
whole
our
time when
courts,
they're
there's no-
available. So they're our courts, the tennis club's courts. So we're not worried about session times or anything like that. So when they're available, people can have a hit through the week.
It's phenomenal, and I will pop up various scheduling and stuff for all of the, especially the coaching, and I believe you guys are doing like a meet and greet as well
on the Friday nights.
Yeah, so I'll chuck that up as well. But so how many courts total did you say you?
We have 8 at the moment,
Yeah.
and we're working on the other 6 as we
cool.
speak.
It's well underway. Yep.
So we will have 14 courts.
14 purpose-built courts.
Plus the ability to do another 8 on the tennis
should you
courts,
need
because
it.
we've got the portable nets as well.
And just so, because anyone that might not have been to Yeppoon, these are outdoor courts?
They're outdoor courts. Yep.
Beautiful. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'll get you guys to talk about the seniors tournament side of things. And you've played in QPT, so you can talk about QPT. So seniors tournament, give us a rundown. Like, how's it going to, like, what are you sort of envisioning for it to be?
Okay, so with the seniors tournament, we have opened it up to various skill levels and lots of different age levels or age categories.
Yeah.
So it's going to suit people that are just started to play, and it will suit the advanced players as well.
Yeah, nice.
That's sort of an overview of what we're planning for the seniors.
Yeah, nice.
Plus we've started at 50, so it's
Yep.
50 to 54, 55 to 60, right up to 60 plus in those breakups. And we have
70 plus.
70 plus, sorry, 70 plus. And we have scheduled, as John said, we've aimed for the beginners, because we did get quite a few queries. People saying, oh, look, I haven't played much, and are you having a beginners? And we went, sure, we do a beginners. But we've also tried to cover the more elite players as well by having I think a 4.0 plus open category to try and encourage some of the more elite seniors to come along.
Yeah, fantastic.
So,
And I always push this in all of the interviews I do, but if you are looking at trying to a tournament for the first time and you might be in that senior category, this is a brilliant tournament to give it a go. You know, might as well make a holiday, go visit Yeppoon, see all the sites and get to meet all the wonderful people. But you get to play in a cool tournament.
Yeah.
You know, it's a no-brainer. And of course, you mentioned sort of the coaching sessions you've got listed as well.
Yep.
So do you book in via Yeppoon Facebook, or what's the way you would recommend?
There is a Facebook page called Yeppoon Pickleball Festival.
Yep.
So if you go to that page, you'll get some links to book coaching sessions and book for dinner.
Yep.
And you can also, I think, from there virtually go onto brackets as well.
Yeah, cool.
So there are links on that page. So Yeppoon Pickleball Festival Facebook page.
Yeah, and if you are watching, just stick around to the end of the video. I'll put the various pages up so you can have a look at that.
And that's live now, so you can actually book now. We've just
Beautiful.
tested it, and it all works. It's through a Humatex app, I think is what it is.
That's right.
So,
I actually had a look last night, and they're filling up pretty quick.
Yeah, okay.
There isn't many left for some of the sessions.
There's something like 144 sessions of 144 places for the clinic. But a lot of people will be doing multiple sessions.
Yeah.
I know we are.
Yeah.
It's a cruel addiction. Yeah.
And of course, same applies to the dinner as well. There's a limited amount of
I need to
seats
book
there
that
as
in.
well.
And we're hoping to have a couple of guest speakers come along as well. So we're working on that to bring a bit, of course, around pickleball, around pickleball.
Yeah.
We'll have a band. It's situated at Beaches, which has got the marina on one side and views of the Keppel Islands on the other.
Yeah,
so
lovely.
it's a top little spot there. We're organising hopefully some transport for people that don't want to drive there. Behind the scenes, Tracy, Sharon, Cal, Kale, Lee, myself, John are all continually working to get this to be a real.
And the other thing is that we want people to come and stay and have a look
Yeah.
at the area. Yeppoon's a very unique place, and it has Great Keppel Island, and a lot of the older folk would have heard of Great Keppel Island. In the old days, there used to be a resort there
Yep.
where you go and get wrecked on Great Keppel. So unfortunately, that
Is
resort is wrecked, but the islands are still there,
Okay.
and they do regular trips across the island, and it's
There
a
is a
beautiful spot.
hideaway there for accommodation as well, and there's pizza shop and the bar and burger joint. So it's still active and alive, but it's surprising how much you can actually do around the area. And a must in the centre of Yeppoon, we've got this beautiful lagoon area. It's just amazing. I don't know whether you haven't.
I'll find out when I go.
You
So-
will indeed. It's quite unique and it's quite amazing. We've had people comment about saying this is the best they've ever been to, and they've been overseas, you know. So there's lots of little things that you can do around Yeppoon, which is quite lovely.
Yeah, a bit of a little hidden gem, and I will be doing a following up video probably in I don't know, sometime soon, just looking at Yeppoon itself and also a real more deep dive on the festival. So we will do that sometime soon. But I think for anyone that's looking to visit, I know that there's various airlines now if you don't want to do the road trip option. It's quite cheap at the moment. So and also there is accommodation sort of booked in, like linked with this tournament structure.
There is links to accommodation.
Yep.
But it's filling up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if anyone has trouble, Airbnb, there's a lot of Airbnb options around. I'm more than happy for people to contact us. Tracy's more than happy to be contacted as well, and we can help guide people into where you can book and what's good and what's maybe not so good. But there's little suburbs that aren't too far away, like Emu Park and Zilsey, or Emu Park probably is only about 15-minute trip away. So there'd be a lot of options there.
and Rockhampton's just 40 minutes away, so it's a major centre. So.
It's a major centre, but
and has an airport.
Yep.
So I know that Bonds is running flights out of Victoria now, out of Melbourne.
Yeah, I did see that.
Melbourneites, there's an easy way to get up here now, and reasonably
it's
cheap.
a really good price.
So
All right.
The other thing I just remembered is that in regards to the festival, PAQ is also sponsoring the Friday night on the 14th of July, a junior session. Come and try. And having a coach there, so we can encourage, because we do have quite a few juniors at Yeppoon. We've got probably a half a dozen. Ollie Gray, as you know, came from Yeppoon. We got him hooked onto it, and so we probably have a half a dozen really good juniors, if not more, and they're really developing, and I think we'll see them playing in the tournament too, because they are quite good young kids. They play tennis as well, so they cross over.
And for anyone watching, if they do have like younger folk coming with them, this is something they can sort of jump on board with.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, then now going to QPT. Now, I know, Amanda, I'm guessing you aren't having anything to do with the organisation of it, but you have played in QPT events. Now, I want to get your opinion, because you played your first QPT
in Yeppoon.
in Yeppoon. There you go.
Last year.
So, how, if there's anyone watching right now, so QPT is the Queensland Pickleball Tour. It is a little bit sheep stations sort of getting played for, so a little bit serious, but it's a good experience if you are looking to sort of test yourself. Amanda, I'll get your opinion, because Yeppoon is having a QPT event. As someone that tried their first QPT at Yeppoon, how did you find it?
It was run really well.
Yeah.
It was a great challenge. I think we had in the females, the number one female player, Sarah Burr, playing. So that was an amazing experience to play my first ever singles match against Sarah.
You're going to learn,
and she was so lovely. I actually really didn't even know how to score singles.
Okay.
So she was amazing in helping me in my first singles and my only singles tournament. I'm not playing singles again. Not because Sarah walloped me, but it's a bit much for my body. But it was such an amazing experience to play with the some of the best players in Queensland and in Australia. I mean, Sarah's probably one of the best in Australia.
She's
for
over in the
females.
States right now.
She's playing the US Open in Naples. So such an incredible experience. I also played the mixed as well. So I got to play against Sarah and Martin.
Yeah, okay.
They're both in the States, and I think Martin is in the seniors.
Seems to be doing quite well too.
Yeah.
And you guys mentioned Ollie. So
Yes.
he obviously comes from Yeppoon. I know I've covered your games that you've played with Ollie.
Yes.
So is it kind of cool to have like a little bit of representation for Yeppoon in the QPT? Like, yeah, this is cool.
Absolutely.
Repping home, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Yeppoon anyway, yeah.
Well, I'm not from Yeppoon.
Yeah.
Ollie is,
Yeah.
and I guess that's how Ollie and I met was through Yeppoon.
Yeah.
And I guess
They were originally supposed to play, and Ollie injured himself. He was devastated, poor guy.
I think he tore it up in New South Wales. Yeah, I think he did really well actually. So yeah, future superstar, or he already is a superstar.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Absolutely.
And do you have any words of advice for anyone that's looking to get into QPT?
Oh, do it! It's so much fun. I'm not too sure whether I'm going to make this year, but I am definitely playing the first QPT tour in Mooloolaba on the 13th and 14th, I believe,
soon.
or 12th and 13th of May.
Yeah.
So I will definitely be there, and I think there's Mooloolaba, Townsville, Yeppoon, Brisbane.
Yeah, well, Redcliffe are covering it as well.
So it's
what I'll do is I'll put up a schedule for the QPTs as well, for all of them. So yeah, you guys can see. I might not be able to make the Mooloolaba one, but Yeppoon might be better off in my time frame. Yeah, we can definitely. I'll put that up as well. And the sort of going back to seniors, are you guys doing singles or is it just doubles?
No, it's just doubles.
Okay. Yeah. All right, that's cool. And if there is any players that would like to give singles a go, I imagine QPT Yeppoon will cover singles. So
Just on QPT Yeppoon, we've also introduced 3.0 and under.
oh, cool.
So it's not just for elite athletes; it's also for people that are beginners to intermediate type players.
Yeah.
To also be part of the Queensland Pickleball Tour. We did it last year as well. We did under 3.5, but I think QPT has actually introduced a 3.0 and under, and so anyone above that will be playing in the QPT.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think if you are one of those people that would like to give seniors a go and maybe be like, oh, I do have an extra week of annual leave, I can stay around for the next weekend, jump in and give the QPT a go.
Yeah.
I will personally be there, so I'll be covering the seniors event, doing the broadcasting for it, as well as the QPT event. So if you want to get your name on YouTube or Facebook, that's one way you can do it. But we might wrap it up, guys. Is there anything extra you would like to add on?
I guess I'd just like to say that the QPT, I think, has been a great tournament in bringing the elite players and the advanced players and showcasing it to communities such as Yeppoon and Townsville. It was just fantastic having Sarah and Brendan and Jen and Coco and Martin and
Tina from Victoria.
Aaron
Aaron Blyth from Victoria. It was amazing, and it really showcased the pickleball to our club, and we sort of promoted it out for the community to come and watch as well. So yeah, and I'm sure that the same thing will happen hopefully again this year with some more of our advanced players and elite players coming along. So
okay, well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
This has been a great yarn. I will put up all the various things we've just talked about at the end of the video. If you do have any questions, I'll get an email address or something from you guys, and you can flip them through an email for Yeppoon, as well as flights, accommodation, and just any general questions about festivals. If there are any people that are sort of building a regional club, please reach out. These guys have been there, done that. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can learn from those that have done it already. So, and it sounds like Yeppoon is blossoming into a pretty massive club in central Queensland.
It is, and I think it's all down to we've got a really great core group of people on the committee, not just on the committee but our volunteers that are more than willing to step up and help. Like, the guys back there, we've got the grinding happening, have stepped up and made sure that it's all going along smoothly, and we're always getting reports back, and just everyone's just so involved and wanting it to succeed.
Yeah.
And apart from that, we've got a couple of elite players as well, advanced players, Kale and Sharon coming along. We've got a great crew of people.
And you mentioned the young'uns coming up as well. So there's plenty of good players, and it makes I'm sure Amanda, you're sort of realising this. I've realised it, that you just can't keep up with these, especially these young ones coming in. They're like, oh my god. Yeah. So no, thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to visiting Yeppoon and spending some time with you guys. But hopefully we can see you there, and we will see you next time. So thank you very much, and see you on the courts.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Bye.
Bye.